Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best of 5 series of Protoss versus Zerg from the ESL Masters Spring. We're in the top left-hand corner. Playing with the blue Protoss pieces, we have none other than Astrea. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones, we have none other than Scarlett. The North America Special. Well, not special. Special's technically also from North America, I guess. But this is the North American Special. Canada going up against the United States. Special, of course, from Mexico. But I believe he's been spending most of his time over in Korea as of late. Not entirely sure what to expect from this series, but supposedly it is a bit of a banger. So we'll find out together exactly what ended up going down between these two legends. Astrea, of course, very well known for, well, Astrea builds. He can play very normal StarCraft, and he's very good at playing what we consider to be normal StarCraft, but he's also very good at what we consider in the community to be going full NA. Going full NA server is something that Astrea certainly likes to bring to the party, where he builds units in strange orders and in ways that we really didn't think were previously possible. I've seen him play some crazy quick and greedy builds as well, where the third Nexus goes down much earlier than you're quote-unquote allowed to, or supposed to. Scarlett, of course, I mean, an absolute channel favorite. I noticed that whenever I upload any videos featuring Scarlett, there's always a ton of people that are very excited to see her play. In general, very strong Zerg player. In the early days, she became very well known for having ridiculous creep spread. I don't think you can ever really separate yourself from the pack anymore like that in 2024, because turns out all of the high-level Zergs have ridiculously good creep spread. But yeah, certainly somebody that I know a lot of, myself included as well, a lot of people are massive fans of. So let's find out together what ended up going down here. Normal builds for the time being though. Golden Aura, of course, a very defensive map. Usually this will be a bit of a test map, right? This is one of those maps where you're kind of testing where your opponent is currently at, how good they're currently playing, because very rarely can you go for an attack on this map that will just straight up win you the game. Problem you run into is that, say for example, you're Scarlett and you're trying to attack the base up here. I mean, Astrea really only needs to control this ramp, and obviously over here as well, but this is also a relatively tight choke. Same for the expansion a little bit further up. This one also has a tight choke over here. The rocks are there by default. You can knock these down, but they have a lot of HP. So as the attacker, it's actually quite tricky to get rid of those debris. And yeah, at that point, you can, with just a couple of bits of terrain controlled, you can very easily take 4 bases. So Stargate Opener is not much of a surprise. I'm assuming we're going to see triple Oracle into Blink Stalker. That seems to be the gold standard right now, but we'll have to see what Astrea actually decides to go for here in just a moment. Usually in this matchup, it is all about Scarlett trying to defend whatever the Protoss player has got prepared for her. So there's the Oracle, the very first one coming up. Usually you go 2 to 3 Oracles. Maybe a year or so ago, it was actually quite common for Protosses to just continue making Oracles, because Zergs would usually go +1 melee into Ling, Bane, Ravager. These days, that's not nearly as common anymore, I guess, with Ling and Bane just not being as potent. But I was a big fan of seeing mass Oracle. Are we only gonna go for a single one for now? We have the money. Okay, it's a Void Ray. I don't like Void Rays. Yeah, I don't know. So Astrea actually just giving his opponent the benefit of the doubt here, as he's decided to just use the Oracle defensively. I think Void Rays are just such a... Like, if we're discussing what the worst unit for Protoss is in StarCraft 2 right now, right? What's the worst Protoss unit out there? Maybe the Tempest? But I would say the Void Ray might be on that level too. I find the Void Ray very expensive, and it's not really good at anything in particular. Like, even though we have units right now that can't really be killed by the Zerg, because there's nothing that shoots up other than the Queen, we don't have a counter, and like, there's still an Adept that goes down. There's still a Pylon that gets killed as well. Oh. Okay, well that explains it. Yeah. No, this is what we call going full NA. This is a ridiculously quick fleet beacon. into a very fast second Stargate. This should be a carrier rush. But honestly, it's so uncommon these days that I'm not 100% sure, at least at the pro level. I know there's a couple Diamond League Zerg screaming at their monitors. What do you mean it's uncommon? I play against this every game! Right. Sorry to the Diamond League Zerg. This is certainly not something we see very often at the highest level. But yeah, this is Astrea basically skipping mid-game entirely. Just going straight into late-game Skytools. Okay. Well, should be able to get away with that easy peasy, because this is actually a super late lair for Scarlett. I mean, I say super late. As far as like normal timings go for the lair, this is on the late end of things. So this is normally late. It's late normally, whatever you want to call it. This is a timing on the lair that is not going to allow Scarlett to just straight up hard counter this. But obviously the advantage here for the Void Ray player is that there's no way for the Zerg player to really scout it. Overlord's coming in at this point, easy to kill. Unless you want to commit to like Overlord speed, but that's not super reliable either. I don't think you want to show it. Astrea! Astrea, no! Oh my god, that is still the Why? Oh, he pulls it back. Scarlett actually didn't see. No! What? Are we actually trying to attack with this? Well, immediately upon seeing this, Scarlett fires up the Spire here together with 3 queens. I am very surprised that we see these carriers going across the map. Normally, you kind of rely on this being a bit of a surprise. So okay, we went halfway across the map and now we're going home. And now we're going back again. I hate everything about this. Yeah. Not to be a jerk or anything, but like... It's a pretty weak play overall, right? Because now it's going to give Zerg a lot of time to prepare. It works in particular very nicely when you go up against a Zerg who, for example, decided to go into like Hydra Lurker, which is a pretty common style for Zerg. But this was before Scarlett made the decision as to what sort of tech she really wanted to go for. She sees a carrier and instantly throws down the Spire. Like, that is a pretty straightforward decision to make right now. I think Roach Corruptor is, yeah, a good unit composition against exactly what the Protoss player has prepared. Main problem here for Scarlett will be making a sufficient amount of Corruptors. So, how many Corruptors do you really make? Because we have charge slots on the back of this. So it looks like it's going to be Archon, Immortal, charge slot. So main problem here is that obviously those Corruptors can't shoot down. But just having a good number of Corruptors out. I mean, there's always the threat, right? That the Zerg just swoops in, kills 1 or 2 carriers, and then backs off again. And that completely takes the wind out of the sails of the Protoss. So I'm a little surprised that Astrea decided to show those carriers, because there really wasn't a reason for it. Like, he could have just had the carriers hiding right over here inside of the main base, so the Zergling can't see. And if there was a counterattack towards the 4th base, then you could, you know, bring out the carriers and kill whatever you need to kill. But now it's gonna make life a lot easier, and here we go. The flight of the Overlords, the Queens. We have the Corruptors here, the Lings and the Roaches. Now, super hard map to attack on. So good luck to Scarlett, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe Astrea was inviting this. Maybe Astrea actually wanted this attack from the Zerg. Scarlett decides to go for the other ramp on seeing all that static defense. Oh, caustic spray being used right here by the Corruptors, by the way, which I do kind of like. That is gonna kill that Nexus real quick now. All right. I think honestly you just back off here. You can maybe try and fight it a little bit more, but I think this is about as good as it's gonna be. So Queen, Ravager, Corruptor. Yeah, you know what? Very few units have been lost yet for the Zerg at this point. May as well fight a little bit more. Main threat right now for those Corruptors is the Archons, obviously. So if the Archons manage to get underneath, they deal splash damage to clumped up units in particular. So the Archons can zone away against the Corruptors really nicely. But, yeah, I don't think this is a very good opener here for Astrea. Even though I like the variety, because you don't really get this kind of play on any other map. think at the highest level of StarCraft 2, this sort of stuff is well figured out now. Scarlett, by the way, with a ton of money in the bank too. Yeah, the map makes this really difficult for Scarlett. If this was on a map that's a little bit wider open, I think Astrea would already be forced to GG out. So, resources lost-wise, you can tell here that despite the fact that this is pretty atrocious for the Protoss, he's still being more cost-efficient than Scarlett here. And that can definitely backfire, right? Like, if Scarlett keeps on running units up the ramp, suddenly a massive Protoss counterattack is something you have to worry about. Then again, though, the creep spread, I highlighted that earlier. It's what she's been known for many years. It is now leading from the Zerg side of the map all the way to the Protoss. Only one carrier, by the way, remains up in the air. New carriers are going to be spawning in a moment, but I think the Archon Immortal ball is going to be able to push all of this back here in the end. Okay. I would have loved to see a follow-up here, actually, from the Zerg player. Straight into Hive. Straight into a Greater Spire. I think she could have easily been there at this point. Especially considering the amount of resources in the bank right now. Yeah, now we're gonna start up the Hive transition, but it's quite late. Mothership coming up. More carriers are coming up as well. This is still 4-base economy right here for Astrea. So despite all of that aggression, and despite being up with his back against the wall, he's still finding himself with a very sturdy economy, and even an attempt at a 5th Nexus. I think this is mostly just to try and continue that fight. I don't think Astrea really believes he can get that going very easily, but... Zealots targeted onto the Ravagers. No attack move there. Going straight into the Psionic Storm. +3 ground. +2 air. Honestly, this is a scary Protoss army. Okay. Let's see. Here goes Roach Ravager Ling once more. One of the carriers gets biled, by the way. That's always a bit surprising to me. More Caustic Spray. Caustic Spray is actually very powerful. So, oh! Wait, what? Did we all army hotkey? That ability has a pretty long cooldown, but she didn't use it on every single one of the Corruptors. Oh, that could actually be a pretty significant error. Okay. Astrea decides to cancel. Does his opponent a favor. I do that all the time in my own games, where I am caustic spraying a structure, and then I use the old army hotkey and I pull all of the Corruptors away. It's a really bad feeling. Alright, this is a scary army though. Storm is done. Exactly. +2 air is also finished, by the way, so that makes all of those interceptor ships much more powerful. Corruptors coming in from the north. I don't know if there's enough... Yeah, I don't think there's enough Archons. Nope, nope, nope. This army will get wiped off the map. Yeah. Oh, man. More and more biles are connecting with carriers. It's really not supposed to happen. Yeah, and I think that honestly may have just been a little too much. I'm honestly surprised we saw a move out from Astrea that deep onto creep. I like the move out initially, but I think committing to a full-on fight with an army that like scales really well, right? So like Astrea's army there would only get better. That was only about like what, maybe 95 or so army supply? He could have added quite a bit more into the mix, and that would have made that army much stronger, but instead decided to, yeah, fight before really necessary. I think he wanted to commit to that +2. Do we have storms? I hope we have storms. Okay. Storm into Time Warp. Not a bad situation, but the Zerg army still slithers away. Nice snipe right there on the Nexus. Banelings right now rolling into the mineral lines too, and this is really just to rub salt in the wound. You can even roll it into the Nexus itself. We're just hitting whatever. Okay. This is gonna have to trigger an all-in right now from Astrea, but considering he just gave away his army, I don't think it's gonna do well. GG. Game number 2. We find ourselves on El Sayani. Astrea going for an early game probe scout. Decided to mine out the mineral fields in the middle. and then checked for the golden base, but apparently Scarlett not opting for anything like that. It feels really good as Protoss when you do find that the Zerg has decided to take that base on their side of the map nice and quickly. Then you can actually try and block it, but in this particular instance, Astrea did not manage to get it done. Alrighty. I think there were multiple opportunities for Astrea for that build for him to work out a little bit better, right? Especially when, so there's two moments that come to mind, but there's probably more. First off, when the first two carriers spawned, they were rallied across the map with the Oracle's scout path, right? So they were just rallied straight across the map. I think Astrea should have hidden it until at least 4 carriers were out, because there was a very good chance that Scarlett would have committed to something else. Even if it was a Spire play blindly from Scarlett, imagine if you're going like 4 to 6 carriers or so, and your opponent decides to play Mutas blindly. I mean, that is an amazing situation. You just straight up win the game at that point as Protoss. There was really no advantage to showing those carriers early and killing one creep tumor. I don't think that was very good. The second moment that comes to mind though was when Astrea finally managed to really get a foothold at like the 12 or maybe 13 minute mark or so. And then he decided to push across the map way too far. I think chasing away that army was good, but then chasing it way onto creep and then having all those Zerg reinforcements show up. Yeah. I don't love it. I don't love it. Anyways, worked out perfectly right there, of course, for Scarlett. But I don't think that was as easy a victory as it kind of looked there in the end. That could have gone very easily in favor of Protoss if, well, everything was aligned, just slightly differently. So it'll be a Stargate opener once again. Oracle is the very first unit, once again. Will it be a Void Ray? How about Oracle into Void Ray into 2 more Oracles that you then save up and then it's still triple Oracle harass? No, it's terrible. Don't do that. What about Oracle into quick 8-gate charge slot all-in? What about Oracle into Void Ray into carriers? No, that would be ridiculous. Okay, triple Oracle. I like that better. This is, of course, the standard. We should probably see a Twilight Council on the back of this, and then a Forge usually, either right next to the Twilight Council, it can be, well, immediately, or just a little bit later. Maybe the recall when Astrea first went across the map with his big army, maybe that recall was on cooldown? I'm not exactly sure. I don't think so. Yeah, the decision-making right there was a little sloppy. Anyways, it is of course a little different because these are the games that you play at an offline tournament, so when these two look right next to their monitors, they can actually see a crowd, which, yeah, a little scary. I don't think I would be able to perform up to my normal standard. So those mistakes, they may look a little sloppy and we can judge them very harshly, but... no, don't lose the Oracle. Don't lose the Oracle. Okay. Well, 2 drones right here in total. 1 Oracle this far down in hit points. It's a dangerous game that Astrea is playing here. Scarlett immediately queues up 15 additional workers. So she does have a round of Lings out on the map. She doesn't know if there's any real adepts on the back of this. Very frequently Protoss goes for like 5 adepts or so alongside these Oracles, but maybe Astrea did get some, or sorry, Scarlett did get some sort of vision, and she realized, okay, we don't have an Astrea adept group on my side of the map either, because she's getting away with a lot of economy here. It is indeed going to be Blink together with the +1 ground weapons. Speaking of +1 ground weapons, for the Zerg, it's already about halfway done. That is the melee upgrade. Melee upgrade is made specifically to try and counter these Blink Stalker openers. So far, so good right here for Scarlett. Yeah, much quicker lair this time around too. Overlord speed. Okay. Overlord speed is usually only something you make when you want to go for a bit of a queen drop. I mean, this has been a very good early game, of course, for Scarlett, and usually if you do go for some sort of queen aggression, some sort of queen drops, you would do it off of a, well, opener that is as smooth as this one has been. This is gonna, well, give you the largest army to actually pressure your opponent with. So non-stop unit production here for the Zerg for now. There is a hatchery, but Astrea hasn't even seen it. 4th Nexus as well, really quickly on the right side of the map, by the way. This is a bit of a cheeky Nexus. Stalker's going around the site. I think Scarlett is going to commit. I think she's gonna commit with a bunch of dropper lords. But so far, she doesn't actually have the dropper lord yet. Stalkers are starting to really hurt that hatchery. Stasis ward gets triggered once again. This is why keeping those oracles alive, by the way, is so important. There's the dropper lords. Yep. It's really the only build that makes sense here in my mind. This is now a situation, though, where Scarlett needs to deal damage. She can't just sort of fly around the map and put on a bit of pressure, because if she doesn't do enough, then this fourth Nexus is gonna put Astrea at a massive lead. I really like these Stalkers, though. Keeping the Zerg player occupied here is really good. Revelation as well on the Queens. It's gonna show, yeah, it's gonna show those Oracles. Or those Dropper Lords. So Astrea knows exactly what's up. You even get continued vision, apparently. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, okay. So the units that are revealed inside of the Dropper Lord actually give you continued vision like that? Not bad. Cheeky little Overlord drop inside of the natural expansion as well. Okay. This fight at the front is quite dangerous. Rather than going for the third base, Scarlett decides to commit to the fight over here on the right side. So many probes are dying, though. Have we still not had more warpins than just this? 2 Stalkers, apparently, is all we're gonna get. Astrea now pinned all the way to the back of the fourth base, and very soon there's not gonna be enough space anymore to run from those corrosive biles. Stasis ward right there. Gets the knight. New queens are being made at home. We have some dropper lords coming up over here too to maybe continue the fighting. I wonder if she wants to go into the main base. That would be quite dangerous. Okay. Yeah, and this is what happens when your early game as Protoss is kind of mediocre. It's not that his macro was bad, it's just that his control on the other side of the map was quite suboptimal. When you don't deal any damage, these builds from the Zerg just become so dangerous. Drones, by the way, did arrive over at the golden mineral line. The Zerg drop now, goes into the main base. Although there are already some zealots, yeah, waiting right over there as well. Recall will be used. Stalkers did kill the hatchery. And they're now gonna try and work on some of these link drops and roach drops as well. Okay. Void Ray coming up. Ravager aggression, together with the queens, continues at the front. Slow warp in. Pylon is a bit too far away. Okay. So, sure, Scarlett has done a lot of damage. But at the same time, Astrea has also slowed down the Zerg economy quite a bit. As a matter of fact, at this point, worker-wise, Protoss is actually slightly ahead. The problem here is that the Zerg aggression is still not done. There's the infestation pit coming up. Battery overcharged. Yeah, it's gonna get shut down right away. Some probes find themselves going down there too. I think this is a bit of an overextension here from Scarlett, though. It's very easy to accidentally fall to all of these Stalkers here, as long as the Protoss micro is on point. And looks like we're all gonna get a bunch of Zerglings here too, but those Zerglings do have +2 melee, so they do make quick work of those Stalkers. Alright, so who finds themselves ahead at this point in time? Honestly, really hard to say. Hive is coming up. We have triple hatchery production. One of them is at the 6 o'clock position of the map as well. That one just finished up. Hive, Baneling Nest. Okay, looks like Scarlett is gonna be going into that good old Roach Ravager Ling Bane-based army. It's usually quite a good choice, but it's not quite as powerful as it used to be before the Baneling nerfs. So a lot of Zerg players have been avoiding this unit composition a little bit more frequently. Ah, Astrea taking a page out of Hero's book. Oh, army hotkeying a little bit too much. It's gonna be costly. Yeah, you can clean it up, but it's a lot of effort. At least he dodged the biles over here. But not those. Okay. By the way, Zergling's still going to town. So we've had 36 probes going down here. I feel like half of those could have been avoided. Imagine if Astrea did have just, you know, about 18 more workers here. I think it would have been really quite nice. Adrenal Glands will be the next upgrade here for Scarlett. Astrea trying to retake the base over here on the right side of the map. Obviously now we're 11 minutes into the game and it's becoming a bit of a necessity. At this point in the game, the main base will be running low. Natural expansion won't be too far behind it, although I guess Astrea has done the opponent a bit of a favor here. Because this base doesn't run out nearly as quickly since there's not nearly as many probes mining the resources. It's a lot of Ravagers, by the way. Yeah, we're all the way up to 20 Ravagers. 1 Void Ray. No. Don't die to Biles, please. I think that one would have actually connected if Scarlett did not drag that Void Ray a little bit closer. Ah, there we go. We've seen a lot of units get corrosived here. I don't love it. A lot of Biles connecting unnecessarily. +3 melee coming up right now as well for the Zerg. That's gonna make life even harder here for Astrea, who's just going Stalkers. We're basically just playing Stalkers. Now, Stalkers are good, and this Concave is amazing. But if Stalkers are really the main weapon of choice, I don't know if I agree. We're essentially playing mono battles here. Just a good old mono battles arcade map where you can make only a single unit. Although, to be fair, in mono battles, Stalkers are also one of the best units to pick. I remember playing some mono battles way back in the day, and I was not really too experienced with the mod yet. And I picked a random unit, and I got Medevac. I can tell you that being only allowed to make Medevacs is absolutely one of the worst choices. Yeah, I don't know. Stalker's definitely better than Medevacs in mono battles, yeah. Anyways, Stalker aggression, Stalker defense. These Zerglings now have adrenal glands, which is basically Stimpack for Zerglings, except it lasts forever. So these Lings will have about a 40% additional attack speed, which is massive. Nexus will be reacquired once more. Okay. Now finally we are getting to a point though where those Lings can get countered really hard. They're already glass cannons. This is gonna make them even more glass cannon-y. That's a word. Yeah, at this point Scarlett is basically doubling her opponent's army supply here. So this is a massive advantage at this point for the Zerg player. And Astrea is starting to bleed out. There's only a few mineral fields remaining in the main base. There's only a handful over here in the natural. There's only a couple over at the third. This base is becoming do or die. And Scarlett knows it. She decides to force the issue here. Now storms do show up, and those storms are critical. More probes looks like they will end up falling, and they manage to, they managed to find the High Templar. Scarlett dominates game number 2. Game number 3, we find ourselves on side Delta. 15 hatch opener right here from Scarlett. So even though Astrea wanted to go for the quick hatchery block, he did not quite get it done. Twilight Council is done. Or, sorry, Cybercore is done. So there should be a Stargate. Yep. So once again, you guys want to see a magic trick? Watch this. It's going to be an Oracle. Watch this, watch this. It's going to be an Oracle. Oh my god, what? How do you know? In the meantime, there's an Adept running around, but it's being chased away by Zerglings. Alright. Third Nexus. Acquired nice and quickly here. Very quick third Nexus, actually. But I think as long as the Oracle is being used defensively, Astrea should be able to get away with it. Technically a little bit risky if there would have been more Zerglings produced, but Scarlett decided to go for the conventional amount of Zerglings here, so nothing all too weird. We have one Spore Crawler coming up inside of the natural expansion. And we'll see an Evo Chamber again, right around the 4-minute mark. 2 Queens will be waiting over at the third base location, and once more, we've got ourselves a Stargate going into a Void Ray. I don't know, man. I think you better off avoid those. Lowko, you're so funny. Thanks, Red. Now, genuinely, I don't think the Void Rays have been particularly good in this particular series so far. They kill, like, an Overlord. They kill a Zergling. Right? And then ultimately they seem to get biled down. Sometimes they can like hide a strategy. So the Void Ray, can make it quite nice for the Protoss to, for example, go into carriers. but I don't really love that build very much myself. I don't know, we saw it in game number 1, it didn't really seem that great. On a map like this, I don't think it really makes sense. On Golden Aura, you can kind of pull it off, but it seems like oftentimes these Void Rays get made, and then they never pay for themselves. These guys don't pay rent. But like, unlike for example, a cat, they're not even cute and fluffy. Now, I understand that that is maybe a personal preference, but I would not want to have a Protoss capital ship as a pet. No. Void Rays are supposed to be really big, by the way. I don't really know exactly what the lore-accurate size of a Void Ray is, but they're supposed to be quite large. Anyways, it'll be +1 ground weapons here together with charge. So Astrea has decided that in the previous game we were playing mono battles for Stalkers. Now we're doing mono battles with Zealots instead. Much more fun unit, requires no micro. We have little pockets of Zealots, just hanging out in the corners. And I'm assuming we're just gonna continue warping them in. Yeah, I remember playing the real scale mod at some point, and let's just say that Void Rays were like the size of the map. Not quite the size of a carrier, not quite the size of a mama ship either, but still very large. And guess what? Nowadays, a bunch of queens can kill them, huh? Nice wall off right here from Scarlett. I like this, but does she have the units? So Scarlett actually decided to skip the Roach Warren this time around. Ooh. Skipping the Roach Warren is actually pretty much game over against this particular style, isn't it? Luckily here for Scarlett, this is only a 4-gate. A very common variant of this build is 8-gate, together with, for example, like a prism, so you can warp in reinforcements. Astrea actually was just using this more or less as a pressure build, which may just give Scarlett an out. Yeah. Very risky choice here to skip that Roach Warren, but it looks like Scarlett will be able to get away with it, but obviously she's still taking a lot of damage in the process. Okay. Where's that Void Ray? Oh yeah, no, just, okay, yeah. No, everybody's out there fighting and you're just, okay, yeah, no, great, man, thanks. Yeah, I don't like Void Rays. Some of you might interpret that as me saying, Void Ray should get buffed. No, 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 no. I still remember the double Stargate Void Ray meta from like 2 years ago. I almost quit the game. I'm not even joking. I stopped laddering altogether then because I was, I really did not enjoy playing against 2 Stargate Void Ray every day. It was horrible. So, you know, in classic Blizzard fashion, they ended up triple nerfing the Void Ray. And ever since then, it's been kind of a sad unit, you know? Yeah, it's kind of living in the Protoss retirement home now. Every once in a while, we bring out Grandpa to see the sunshine again, and it gets to kill like an Overlord for the good old days. But that's about it. Anyways, good cleanup right there by Scarlett, to be honest. That was 20 Zealots. But I think if Astrea would have gone for even just 6 gateways, I think 6 gateways probably would have won the game. This corner that was cut by skipping the Roach Warren was certainly not worth it. Okay. The transition here from Astrea, by the way, has been into double Robo. Yeah, so we have Mass Immortal. And do we already have Storm? We do. There's a very quick Storm. So we have Mass Immortal Templar. Okay. Now, normally I'd be a little scared for Protoss when they go up against Lurkers. But recently Protoss players have found a lot of success playing Mass Immortal against Lurkers in the first place. Usually in an even battle, the Lurkers lose. This is Astrea already way prepared to deal with any sort of Lurker transition right now, because, I mean, this army is gonna eat Lurkers for breakfast. Yeah. They're coming though. There are 8 Lurkers. I mean, if Scarlett can get the right engagement, it can sort of work. Hive is done. She needs those upgrades, though. She needs seismic spines. Yeah, it starts up right now. Thank you for making me look smart, Scarlett. I appreciate that. Careful, though, Astrea. Astrea is eager to move out onto the map. At 160 supply, apparently his hands get itchy. He's decided to go into a fleet beacon, but we're still pumping out 2 Immortals at once. Okay, now those are some good storms. It makes me a little worried because there is no prism with this army. Alright, well... about a dozen Immortals shooting at a hatchery makes quick work of it. Nidus network coming up. Alright, I think the idea is to try and Nidus the main base. Some Lurkers over there are quite difficult to clean up. Scarlett actually does not have a vision of that prism, so that is looking quite nice right here for Astrea. But Astrea decides to double down into Skytle's tech. I feel like most Protoss players that I've been casting over the last few months have really been doubling down on the unit composition that we already see right now here from the Protoss, but instead, so it's not really Skytle's tech. This is Astrea really just going into a fleet beacon for the Mothership. Okay. He loves his Mothership. It's important to love your Mothership. Yeah. You should probably call your Mothership. Is it really worth it though? Okay. Yeah, no, we are gonna make a transition as well into other stuff. So the other stuff will be Tempest, it looks like. We have triple Stargate. And a full split right here. Look how many Immortals there are. My god. Dude, there's as many Immortals on the right as there are on the left. And that seems like a good chunk of Immortals in any game. Alright, well, this is the moment where Scarlett decides to go for some aggression. Protoss pretending that there is a soft contain on the other side of the map. Nidus is going to hurt quite a bit though, although... Oh my god, well, those Lings did not achieve anything. We have a Ling Bane roll-by over at the third base location too. Nidus Worm inside of the main base, but completely empty. Yeah, just like as that Serral versus Maru series in the final game, just an empty Nidus Worm. Just to scare the Protoss. Apparently. Still though, in a very strange way, Astrea is containing the Zerg on a small amount of bases. So not a single Immortal has gone down. Of course not, because you know they're immortal. Duh. Anyways, they haven't gone down yet, and if that's the case, and Zerg is only on 4 bases, it'll be really difficult for Scarlett to win with Hydra Lurker. I don't see that happening. Another big attack over here, but more storms. Oy, oy, oy. Grandpa gets to join the battlefield again for just a moment. I like how we went for the Tempest upgrade and then decided to rush out carriers and a Void Ray on the back of it. Anyways. Tectonic Destabilizers finishes up. I think Astrea is basically just trying to contain all of the Zerg. There's like 6 Hydralisk over here. Dude, we have like 6 Hydras killing a Mothership right now and actually get the job done. That unit. You don't even need abduction anymore, eh? This one was more than 300 as well, because we have to take into consideration the cost of the fleet beacon for this one. In the meantime, though, Astrea is dealing so much damage on the other side of the map. Those Immortals have been amazing. Yeah, we have a couple of them now that have died. But not so immortal yet. Ooh, okay. Nidus network gets sniped. We have a lot of High Templar here with energy. Or we had a lot of High Templar with energy, but we're not using Storm a single time. I think Astrea has got his eyes set on the base defense. There's a lot of moving parts on the Zerg side of the map, and ultimately, these units, while important, not really that critical. Just gonna try and maximize the damage with these, because they're not going home. Scarlett has been reduced to just 3 bases. There's a hatchery coming up on the right side of the map. But in the meantime, Astrea has been mining this hidden base on the left side that Scarlett has not seen. So she doesn't know about it. I think if Astrea manages to clean up these units, he will probably be able to get a point on the board. Mothership 2.0 coming up. There are some carriers out. There's a Void Ray. Although good fighting here as well by Scarlett though, really trying to make the best of this. Yeah, ultimately, I think the Protoss army is just a little too big. Nicely done. Very cool. Yep, I think this game could have been over with the Zealot charge at the beginning of the game, when Astrea decided to commit to just 4 gateways worth of Zealots. I think if we would have gone for like 6 or 8, well, definitely with 8. I think it could have won the game earlier, but the follow-up here was really nice. Alrighty. Ghost River. It's gonna be game number 4? 4. I was gonna say 3, but no. Game number 4 in this best of 5 series. Astrea going for a nice and early probe scout once again. And on this map, it can be extra annoying. Yeah. Ghost River doesn't really have a... She really wants to take the natural. It doesn't really have as easy a expansion setup and as an expansion layout, because you can only really take this as your third base. There's not really a whole lot of options. So Scarlett really wants to try and make this expansion pattern as easy as possible. Astrea double checks, makes sure that it's not going to be a 12 pool. I think Scarlett, there you go, should be able to take that natural, but that was already a bit of a gamble. We've got ourselves a normal opener here for Protoss. Astrea instead though, now going up against a Zerg player who is going for a much faster extractor and a much faster spawning pool. Rush distance on Ghost River is 31 seconds from the main ramp to the opponent's player main ramp with a scouting worker, which is the fastest rush distance in the current map pool of StarCraft 2. Normally maps are like 34, 35, maybe 36 seconds. 31 seconds certainly makes that rush distance something you have to, yeah, take into consideration. Obviously, the rush distance for flying units is even quicker than that. So we'll have to see if Astrea decides to go into a Stargate once more. Not a lot of gas, actually. Very little gas here for the Protoss. I don't think this will be a Skytools opener. Probably not. Quick Roach Warren as well. Look at that. 2-minute Roach Warren. Okay. Quite literally not possible when you go for a hatchery first. So this will be something Astrea has to address. Scarlett going for a cheeky little all-in, it looks like. Okay. A robo facility first. Really? Okay. Now we're cooking. Robo facility first is certainly a good option against somebody who's going for this sort of build. You know what? This would be one of the situations where a Void Ray is actually good. I know I've been trash talking Grandpa Void Ray his entire cast so far, but I think a Stargate into a Void Ray is actually really nice against this specific build. Are we gonna walk the Queens? Dude, it's gonna take ages. I mean, it's 31 seconds for a probe. It's more like 31 minutes for Brenda over here. I always wonder if she's misrelied. No, I don't think so. Back before the Brood War, I used to be able to fly. Sure, Brenda. Let's get you back to the creep, Brenda. No? Okay. Well. It's a dangerous play. There's a prism, by the way, as the very first unit. That is gonna give basically every Protoss unit here blink. Okay. Only one Ravager Bile currently available, which is kind of sweet. Hello, can we use the prism at all, Astrea? Okay. He hasn't really lost much yet, but I think we could have saved that one Adept. Picking up the weakened units inside of the prism is obviously another way to allow him to generate shields again. He's just all army hotkeying the prism around. I'm not sure why. Anyways, Sentry at this point no longer has enough energy until right now for another force field. I think one more force field over here to keep Brenda out would be sweet, but no. Sentry also ends up going down. Zerg trying to land as many of the Biles as possible. Shield battery obviously has already been shut down here. Good targeting with that Immortal. No dodging the Biles at all. I think Astrea is having some of the pro gamer nerfs here. Yeah. Nerfs with a V. Nerfs. Not nerfs. Although maybe playing on a stage did nerf him a little bit too. Because the micro here has been quite suboptimal. Ultimately, it looks like Protoss will be able to hold though. That's cute. Repowering the gateway using the warp prism. That is something you can do. Allows you to get another warp in like that. Okay, so that was essentially an all-in right there by Scarlett, and I honestly think that was about the best case scenario. And Scarlett is finding herself behind right now. This is a wonderful combination, by the way. 2 Immortals and a Prism. Really nice match. Usually you fly them inside of the Prism towards the other side of the map because it's faster, but... Immortals need to get their daily movement in apparently as well, okay? How are you gonna get your 10,000 steps if you're flying inside of your private plane? Yeah, that's one of the most relatable questions I've ever asked. Anyways, we're gonna recall again now. I think Astrea is feeling the heat here. When your tournament life is on the line, which I believe was the case for this particular series, it is really difficult to micro all your units perfectly, even though it's also the moment where you need to be microing everything perfectly. Scarlett is really just doubling down, by the way. She hasn't made a worker in ages. Cybercore is gone. Another gateway now just disappeared as well. Astrea still with the worker advantage though. And this really starts adding up. For the last 5 minutes, even though the cost inefficiency has been, yeah, quite bad on the Protoss side of things, he's also just gathering more stuff. Good targeting right there with those Immortals. Trying to go after the Ravagers. Good. Sentry. Okay, gonna be in a lot of trouble. All of these units are actually in a lot of trouble. But I think the Immortal production here is gonna be on point, honestly. The Immortals really shouldn't die. I mean, again, they're named Immortal for a reason. It's actually wild they decided to name a unit Immortal. Why did... It's a cool word, but like... They could have also called it Epic Unit. Alright. Protoss is, of course, very comfortable. Yeah, with this Immortal juggling, which is something we used... Really? Really? That's the one we're gonna battery overcharge? Okay. Anyways. They used to do this aggressively. These days, apparently, Immortal juggling is done as a defensive measure instead. I really should read the books of StarCraft, I guess. It will probably explain why they're called Immortals. If I'm not mistaken, I think as a Protoss thing, sometimes you can, like, be... Your soul can be put inside of an Immortal, right? Isn't that the idea? I think that's basically it. Where, like, you know, if you've been a good enough Protoss in your life, you can be turned into an Immortal instead. Good targeting right here by Astrea. Yeah, those Immortals, I mean, there's one that died so far, but they have been very cost efficient. Couple probes here ended up going down. I mean, Scarlett is actually making this a really solid game, all things considered, but I don't see... Yeah, drones are starting to come again. I don't see how this is gonna work out for the Zerg in the long run. Because these Immortals can just be microed, in theory at least, for a very, very long time. There you go. That's what we want to see. Exactly. That's what we want to see. Okay. Zerglings inside of the main base, now forced to be used defensively. Scarlett trying to just drone up 2 bases. Problem here with the strategy that Scarlett has decided to go for is that she does not have any tech. So other than link speed, she did not build anything else. There's no lair. There's no gas income, really. I mean, the gas that we've had, I guess, has been spent on Ravagers. So this is not even remotely close to Hydras, Spires, Mutas, anything like that. So if Scarlett wants to back off from this all-in, which is what it was, she's gonna have to play defensively with these low-tier units for a long time. And because of that, I actually really do like the proxy hatch in the bottom right. Because ultimately, this is kind of looking like a game where Protoss can pull further and further ahead if everything goes well over the next couple minutes. Because this is now the Protoss' turn to be out on the map and be aggressive. So, if there is any way to get a 3rd base up, over here would not be the spot. Like I said, there's no other real location where you can make a third base on this map. This is not like, for example, a site delta, where you can take a third base in multiple different spots. Scarlett hiding that base in the bottom right-hand corner is very risky. But what are the odds of Astrea really going on over in that direction? Suddenly that Roach Warren positioning from the early game, she tried to hide it as far away from the scouting worker as possible, but suddenly that one actually is quite exposed. It looks like this will be the end for the Roach Warren. Lovely stuff right here from Astrea. Anticipating this move, he decides to go into charge together with the +1. So, upon killing that Roach Warren, he figured that it's likely not going to be another Roach Warren on the back of this, and there will be confirmation of it. Scarlett indeed has gone for a Baneling nest. So, Astrea will be transitioning towards what will likely be just Immortal Archon Zealot. And it's going to hit like a truck. I mean, apparently we do have a new Roach Warren coming up right now. But in 2-base versus 2-base, this will certainly be a Protoss army win. Yeah, I think he can sneak away. Yeah, lovely. Lovely work right here by Astrea. I think the early game defense was not quite as crisp as he would have liked it to be either, but ultimately he's finding himself with a very strong army and a very defendable base. Now, if he would have picked up on this base in the bottom right? This game would look very different. Now it's putting a timer on Astrea's strategy that he does not know about. If Astrea decides to just go for a third base and sits back and leans into his economical advantage from the early game, I think he's going to be in a world of trouble. He's now under the assumption that this base, now, never mind. He was under the assumption that this base would be the third, but suddenly there's a little train of drones. Just, you know, running. Yeah, just having a good old time. Just like those Immortals earlier, they were trying to get their steps in, even though they don't have legs. Yeah, flying units need to get their steps in too. Unfortunate moment there for Scarlett. This base indeed will be spotted. I mean, it has to be spotted. Those drones went somewhere. Yeah, I don't think Astrea really needs to see it. There you go. Okay. That's all the information that is really required. And that's gonna create a little bit of urgency right here in Astrea's game plan. Now, I think going for an 8-gate 2-base all-in would have been enough. Much like in the previous game where Astrea could have gone for more gateways. I think it would have been enough. Instead, right now, it's triggering an all-in from Scarlett, who realizes that this game is going to be difficult if she does not lean into that economy that she's got very quickly. Banelings have decided to join in too. We don't actually have any Zealots here. We only have 2 Zealots in total. This could actually still backfire really hard. It's mostly just Immortals. Immortals suck against Lings. Okay, you know what? This is the best fight you could ever have right here with this army. That Prism was way on the other side of the map. It did get recalled eventually, but Scarlett is finding about as good a fight as she's ever going to get. I'm very surprised Astrea decided to go +1 together with Zealot Charge, but decided to spend all his money on more Immortals instead. Like, when you know you're forcing out a Baneling Nest, which he saw when the Baneling Nest was just like down for about 10 seconds, he saw what was going on. It makes a lot more sense to go and dump your gas into Archons and your minerals into Zealots. More Immortal production at that stage in the game does very little. I think we've all played those games though, where you kind of see, you know, you're trying to play the game, but you're not really thinking. I think that's one of these matches right here for Astrea, where like he knows what he needs to do, but it's just kind of not happening. I've had that many times. Usually that's a great indication for me that I need to stop playing. A little difficult when you're in the middle of a tournament. But this, I think even Scarlett is a little bit surprised with how well this is all going, considering Protoss has had all of the tools at his disposal to try and shut this down. But I will say that against a Ling-based army, a Ling-Bane-based army, going Mass Immortal is not great. It is creating a very entertaining match right now, though. One that is looking surprisingly close. 29 probes is all that remains right now for our American Protoss player. +2 melee or +2 ground is going to finish up in just a moment. Yeah, now it is indeed Archons and Zealots. We still have 7 Immortals. Dude, we need to stop making Immortals. Couple of Banes inside of the main base, ready to kill any probes. But that base... they did nothing done, okay. Anyways, that base is mostly mined out. The rewall over in the natural expansion was never constructed again after the initial fall. So the Cyber Core and whatnot is up in a different location, and that means that those links can keep on running in. Immortal in the main base now, tasked again with killing Zerglings. Push over here at the front, falling flat on its face, but Scarlett has been running around this Protoss army very nicely. Okay. Yeah, these rocks take a long time, 2,000 hit points. A little surprised Scarlett decides to commit the time to it, but... Alright, Astrea does see it coming in this time around. Base in the bottom right-hand corner. Really good right now for Scarlett. The probes are slowly being remade, but Astrea doesn't really have that much mining he can really do anymore. I mean, we have idle workers even in the main base. This is Astrea now going for what seems to be a move out. Army is currently very split, so that's a dangerous decision. Doesn't really know exactly what the Zerg has. For all Astrea knows, this could easily be a 60 drone economy right now, but luckily for him that is not the case. Obviously we have perfect vision right here of the work accounts. If Astrea knew, I think he would be sitting back. We have another attempted Baneling roll by on the left side of the map. Protoss army currently mispositioned, but should be able to shut that down if they decide to step to the side. We have Storm on the back of this too right now for Astrea. Okay. Ling Bane trying to drag this army away. Zealots over there. Okay. They will not be able to pull it off yet, but now is the Roach and Ravager's turn. And immediately... Ah, it's a cheeky play. Okay. Nice decision right here by Astrea, who does see these Banelings now. And that's getting quite costly for the Zerg. Prism once again shows up. No reconstruction of the front door anywhere. Roach Ravager goes around the site. A lot of links for support. A lot of the units, though, get split off into the main base to try and sacrifice themselves. Scarlett really desperately trying to get rid of a lot of this Protoss supply. But that loss in the main base of the Protoss is quite costly. I don't think this push was really justified. Storm is going to be amazing, by the way. Although at this point we have no High Templar. I think Astrea is full autopilot here. Just trying to, like, not do anything too stupid. Just trying to micro. But I'm fairly sure there's a full blank right now on the side of the Protoss, because a lot of these decisions are not quite optimal. We're still getting it done though, I think. This is decent. Quite a bit of money in the bank. We're only still on 4 gateways. I think re-walling in over here would not be a bad choice, or at the very least tightening the wall a little bit. Immortal production continues onwards. Astrea wanted to go for a 4th Nexus on the left side of the map. Does fire up +3 ground weapons. Prism? No. Okay. Whew. I feel like if this is a loss for Astrea, right? It's really gonna be like a mental hit more so than anything else. Obviously at that point you're out of the tournament, but there have been so many opportunities. Scarlett, by the way, really playing a good game here. Even though... Biles connect with the Templar. Immortal here, Miser Elite. Scarlett has been on all-in ever since... She's been all-in since minute 4. She did make like 2 groups of drones in the meantime, and she did sneak out that base in the bottom right-hand corner. But she's effectively been all in. I think she has been trying to win the game with a 2-minute long attack ever since like minute 5, and somehow we're now at minute 19, and this 2-minute attack is still going on. Yeah, she knows that if she does not win the game with these attacks, there will be a massive Protoss retaliation eventually. The amount of Zerglings in the army just keeps flooding in, makes this game so much harder for Astrea than, in my mind, it really needs to be. The 4th Nexus also feels very dangerous. Or, like, all of this can be said, or maybe this is just a massive misread from Astrea. Maybe he assumes that this really is like a 60+ worker economy here for the Zerg. That he's up with his back against the wall and he's just forced to play defensively. But I think it's a bit of a misread here. 500 Zerglings. More than 500 Zerglings have died in this game. To what is effectively an extended 2 base in it. Now I realize that there's more than 2 bases now. But Scarlett has never really had the worker count for more than 2 base economy. Yeah, those storms are really good. I think the storm may honestly be the nil in the cover. Okay, Scarlett realizes that it's gonna be hard to really achieve much. And eventually, she will tap out. Alrighty, so here we go. What was previously a 2-0 lead for Scarlett has now turned into a potential for Astrea to reverse the sweep. I mean, I don't think the previous game was the best game that Astrea has ever played. But you know what? I hope for his sake he decided to take his break. Pro gamers at tournaments are always allowed at least 1 or 2 breaks, depending on the series. Usually after a game like that previous one, it would be a good moment to walk away from the computer for a little bit and contemplate life. Just a bit of a reset. Maybe have a cheeky little coffee or I don't know. I don't know exactly how long your break is allowed to be, but that does look like a sugar break to me. A caffeine break. Absolutely. Can't believe, by the way, that we had like a 20-minute game and Zerg never made a lair. When's the last time we've seen a 20-minute game and Zerg has not made a lair? Scarlett basically shouting at her monitor, "Why won't you just die?" For 20 minutes. Yeah. Why can't you just be normal? Well, this time around it's a double gateway start. Apparently Astrea has had enough of being the defensive player. We're gonna go straight into, yeah, double gateway this time around, which usually does delay the third. I mean, it should delay the third, but apparently not really the case here. Nah, it is gonna delay the third. Normal timing is about right now. Astrea is ever so slightly off, but it's okay. Because we had that extra gateway a little bit earlier on. Yeah, you know what? This is still 350. That's totally fine. It's also still an Oracle opener. And this will indeed be spotted right now by the Zerg. Unironically, in that previous game, Void Rays would have been really good. After trash talking Void Rays for the first 20 minutes, yeah, yeah, would have been, yeah. Would have been quite good. Or literally 1 Dark Templar. Just imagine 1 Dark Templar. I know it's difficult to play Dark Templar when you're playing defensively, but that was a 20-minute 2-base all-in from the Zerg player without lair tech. There was literally no detection. This time around though, we've got a whole load of adepts ready to go across the map, together with those oracles. There's only a handful of Zerglings available at this point in time, but Scarlett is adding on more. Okay, ambitious play to try and kill that creep tumor. Nice positioning here for those adepts. That's gonna take forever for the Zerg to clean up. And you know what, with this many adepts, yeah, you can actually just kill the queens. A lot of lost mining time already. Zerglings can't really go across the map. The Overlord will spot those adepts leaving. Nicely done right here by Astrea. Looks like his head is back in the game. Oracle is helping out as well. This is the escort right here. Yeah, very important to make sure that those units go home safely. You never want them to get surrounded by a bunch of Zerglings, for example. That would just be embarrassing. Robo Bay. Okay, very quick Robo Bay, actually. So this will likely be Astrea going into Colossi. So the fact that he's going into an entirely different build for this match, it's kind of amazing, actually. I think Astrea is putting the opponent here on a similar build as what we saw in the previous games, with maybe like straight Hydra Ling. But sadly here for the Protoss, that will not be the case, as we do have a Roach Warren here in production. You know what, the revelation? It will reveal that the Roach Warren's researching. That can only ever be Glio Reconstitution at this point, which is Roach Speed. I think this is gonna be maybe like a Colossus, or maybe like up to like 2 Colossus, and then straight into or not Tempest, Disruptors? I mean, it could be. I still think Colossi are a good choice because usually roaches are gonna be accompanied by Zerglings. Or Hydras. And both Zerglings and Hydras take a ton of damage from Colossi. But obviously this is usually also a massive indicator for the Zerg that you have free reign to go straight into Hive. So if you go into a Hive and you grab a couple Vipers, you can snatch those Colossi and, well, carry, like anything, right? You can hit all of those heavy tech Protoss units really nicely with Tempest. Or, with Tempest? With Vipers, but Scarlett has not decided to make that choice just yet. I don't think she realizes exactly what she's going up against. No, there has not really been an Overseer scout. And without an Overseer, it's going to be hard to really figure out what the play is. Until she probably sees one of the Colossi. Now, much like those carriers from earlier, I would love to see... Yes! Okay, thank you. I would love to see them re-rallied and not just joining the main army. That's what went wrong in the first game on Golden Aura. Astrea just sort of showed the carriers for no apparent reason at all. I think hiding them over here is going to make it... Well, it's going to take it a much longer time here for the Zerg to ultimately go up to a Hive. I think that's what Scarlett's plan will probably be as soon as she sees that it's indeed Colossi. But she's not going to find out until an Overseer scout goes in or until these Colossi actually show themselves out onto the battlefield. So, 50 supply advantage right now for the Zerg. But it's 50 supply of like mid-game units. These are Hydras as well that still need their ranged research. So they don't yet have the... Oh, no, I do already have it. Okay, I was going to say. They will be having their speed upgrade here in just a moment too, but the Colossi are going to be amazing. Astrea will be happy to see them. It is time to shoot lasers. I think Scarlett sort of has to commit. That's a really dangerous play. Blink is done as well, by the way. Oh, really? Astrea has to cancel the base? That surprises me a little bit. We do have to split up our units, though. Yeah. No shield battery inside of the natural expansion. Disruptor doesn't need to join the battlefield. Okay. Astrea being very cautious here. Here's the surround. Zerg trying to come in from as many angles as possible, but those Hydras are gonna get melted. Okay, roaches in the main base are gonna get cleaned up too. Scarlett does start up, of course, that Twilight or that infestation pit, and then we should see a Hive here momentarily. There it is. But this is now Astrea, who has free reign of the map for at least like 2 minutes. And I think if there's ever a moment to win this match, it would be in the next few minutes here. Because Astrea has not really seen a counter against those roaches. Now it is... Or against those Colossi. Now the roaches are obviously really good against the Colossi, so you do have to be a little cautious. Just sitting back and going into a maxed out Protoss army is certainly not a bad choice either. Double Forge maybe would be a good addition. Okay. This is starting to look like a really... Oh, we already have it. There you go. I didn't even see the second Forge. It was literally on my screen! Anyways. Scarlett is starting to get into a position where she is falling very far behind against this Protoss army. Yeah. This late game Protoss ground army is one that yeah, is gonna just demolish the Zergs. So Hive is gonna finish up and we will see a Lurker then. But Lurkers also need upgrades. So there's the Vipers now, finally on the production tab. Looks like we may have had a snipe right there on a Prism or something along those lines. Protoss army though, smelling blood in the water. Again, we're pushing without a Prism. Like no Prism, no Observer in this army. It makes me very nervous. That is one of the old rules of Protoss, you know, never attack without a Prism and an Observer. Okay, Disruptor getting quite a bit of damage done. Normally we have Disruptors hidden inside of the Prism, but that's not even what we're doing right now. Aggressive blink forward, good micro back on one of those Colossi. Purification Novas have been good as well up to this point. The Zealots are going to get their charge upgrade, but at this point we don't even have any Zealots. There's the abductions finally coming in. Okay, nicely done right there by the Zerg player, but Scarlett might be a little too late as far as that goes. Big Purification Nova. Quite a few of those roaches and ravagers are floating through the surface of Oceanborn. And now +2, +3 will start finishing up for Astrea. Oh, even the Zealots managed to kill the base. It looks like Astrea is achieving one of the most difficult things at high-level StarCraft 2. A full reverse sweep. We certainly have seen quite a few errors from both sides. And I feel like Astrea really for a moment was making it look very, very hard, but looks like he's managed to, reset himself a little bit in between those games. This is by no means the cleanest game of Protoss I've ever seen. But it's certainly looking very good now. Now, there is still a chance though for Scarlett. Scarlett is going for a double expansion. She still has enough gas apparently to go into those Lurker upgrades. I don't think Astrea really wants to give Scarlett too much time. There's really no reason for it. He's going into Storm. Feedback obviously is also an option. Feedback. Okay, trying to get it done. Stasis wards are being set up here. Protoss army on the left side is trying to chase all of this down. I mean, it's effectively right now, I mean, we do have this base over here, I guess, but it's been 4 base Protoss versus like 3 base Zerg for a little bit now. And that means that the Protoss army, there you go, is finally bigger than that of the Zerg. And this is still a very Roach Hydra heavy army. Now Lurkers though and Vipers are joining in. But it's gonna be a while until Scarlett will be maxed out. Vipers? Oh, both of the Vipers are gone. Okay, that's it. I don't think Scarlett can play this without Vipers. We have a fleet beacon on the production tab. Yeah, I mean, there's like 4 Lurkers. Yeah, I think that's it. Very well done right here by the American Protoss after falling 2-0 behind. He wins the series against the Canadian Zerg 3-2.